Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about the functionality paths of the D&D narrative. Okay, and today I want to talk specifically about the personal message to all Dragon Masters at the table. Okay, so we have Dungeons and Dragons, and we have this D&D narrative, this powerful, incredibly valuable, transformative story, this story plus that is happening at the Dungeons and Dragons table, right? The dungeon master is coming, physically sitting down at the physical table, getting out the physical books, has the physical math rocks. All the dragon masters join around the physical table with them physical selves, and we craft this narrative that is the most valuable secular narrative that is being crafted today. The value on it is so high that we really don't have any idea how to calculate it yet. And I honestly think I'm one of the few people on earth who understand exactly how valuable these stories are. Now, actually, to be clear though, we all know that D&D stories are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, right? How do we know a story? Yeah. Okay, so tell me if you think I'm wrong. Legends of Vox Machina on Amazon Prime has generated at least $200 million. At least 200 million. Not to one person, it's split across many people. Jeff Bezos, Matthew Mercer, Marisha Ray, Liam O'Brien, Travis Willingham, Laura Bailey, and not April O'Neil. Ashley Johnson. So one Dungeons and Dragons story can be worth hundreds of. We do know one Dungeons and Dragons story can be worth hundreds. Oh, and D&D Honor Among Thieves made 207. One Dungeons and Dragons story is the Muggle value is 200 million. Right. That's what a D&D story can be worth, and it's happened twice. Right. I believe that Legends of Vox Machina story has already made 200 million, and Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves has made 200 million. So there are two examples of the value being at least hundreds of millions, right? Or a fraction of a billion, right? Like a significant fraction of a billion, right? But I believe that the intellectual, emotional, and spiritual value of these is far greater than a few $100 million USD, right? And also, like, I get it, the Muggle world can be impressed with 200 million, but like, we're not regular Muggles. We're not regular human. No one who has engaged with Dungeons and Dragons in a deep manner remains a regular human being. We have transcended regular humanity, right? You're a wizard, Harry, right? Like, we're not Muggles, right? We're not impressed with $200 million, right? It's not the end all be all of value. So what I want to talk about today is the functionality path of the personal message to every Dragon Master at the table. Now, I've already discussed I've given an example of a personal message given to one Dragon Master at the table. And a Dungeon Master can do this to 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. They can give a unique personal message, coded, hidden, handed in the D&D narrative to each Dragon Master. But let me give you an example of let me give you a good example of a personal message given to the entirety of all Dragon Masters at the table. So we have Amanda, we have Becca, we have Charlize, we have Deborah, and we have Elizabeth. They are all at the table, okay? And the Dungeon Master comes to the table, and here's how she delivers a personal message to everyone at the table. Okay, all right, so all of these Dragon Masters, their game is in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Okay, now if you don't know Westchester, Pennsylvania, only wealthy people live there. It's all rich people, right? It's Land Rovers and Porsches and Corvettes, and you will not find a Honda Civic anywhere in Westchester, Pennsylvania, right? So Amanda is a marine biologist. the Dragon Master, what other channels would call a Dungeons and Dragons player, a disgusting term that is completely irresponsible and cruel, in my humble opinion. Anybody who refers to somebody as a Dungeons and Dragons player does not know a ton about Dungeons and Dragons and is not a civil person, in my humble opinion. We really need to get rid of this language. So Amanda is a marine biologist, right? And Becca is she's an accountant for an oil company, right? And Charlize owns her own veterinarian hospital, right, in Westchester, right, where they're paying $8,000 for probably $20,000 for a poodle surgery, and Deborah sells Range Rovers at the Westchester at the facility that I'm very sure is close to Westchester, where they just sell Land Rovers, right? And she's crushing it, selling 10 Land Rovers a week and getting checks. And Elizabeth is what's her job? So, and Elizabeth goes into Philadelphia every day, and she manages hedge funds, right? So the Dungeon Master has realized recently that all of them are very wealthy, and all of them are not really generous, and are not really and are leaning on their privilege a lot as wealthy people, right? So she puts together a story that happens in Waterdeep, and in Waterdeep, all of these characters, she makes sure that they're flush with gold, right, from a adventure, and then she has an albino tiefling. They come into Waterdeep, and they're taking their magic items to sell, right? And this albino tiefling comes up to the whole group and says, please, I have no bread. Could you help me? Could you spare a few gold? Right? And that's a message to every single Dragon Master. It's a personal message because it's crafted for all of them, for that table. It's a very personal message crafted for that table, right? And it's not for any one of them, it's for every one of them, right? And it's hidden, it's coded, it's crafted into the story plus the D&D narrative. But Sally, or actually Deborah, is getting a personal message to her on some other thing, but she's also getting a Dragon Master message for every Dragon Master at the table. So this is one functionality path for Dungeons and Dragons, in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking and surprising, and have a fetch millennium.